Welcome back, dear listeners, to another episode of Talk Therapy on Central City Radio. I'm your host, Shante Saulsberry, and today we have a very special guest joining us in the studio. She's not only a survivor of domestic violence, but also a beacon of hope and strength for others who have faced similar challenges. Please join me in welcoming Coach Kiki to the show.
Hello.
Hello, Coach Kiki. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Yes. It was amazing to have your daughter give me a call.
Yes.
And what exactly was your daughter doing?
That was a sneak attack. So I'm just going to be honest with you. She have this vision. She always sees these visions of how I could be better, how I could do better, how I could promote myself and help others. And she was up in her room doing her phone calls. And she says, I have news for you. I said, oh, what is it? She says, I just spoke to a lady. Her name is Shante Saulsberry. And she runs a domestic violence group. And she wants you on her podcast. I went, I was like so excited. I said, look at you. So she just went ahead and she knows what I need and she just goes for it and just try to, sometimes I shut her down and she says, no, you're going to do it. So here I am.
Okay. So when you say you shut her down, now what exactly was she doing for you to support you?
Coming up with concepts of how I can go to different vendor fairs and promote my book, talk to people, put myself out there as a coach. And when I heard it, I got so nervous because now I'm out there. I'm now being seen. Even though I wanted to be seen and heard, now I'm actually being seen. And that's scary. Yeah. That is very scary, especially when you're coming out of something really traumatic into I'm living my best life, but what does that look like for me? So I was scared.
So you are a thriver.
Yes.
So that's what I like to call survivors. They're thrivers.
Yes.
Of domestic violence. So tell me a little bit about your story.
Okay, so I met my husband. He was a veteran. He was a veteran, and I met him back in 2001 when my mom was still alive. And at the time she was suffering from cancer. And he came in, swooped in, just this handsome, deep voice, rugged, kind-hearted person. And I just saw his eyes just spoke to me. I was like, ooh, he's handsome. So I was, my sister at the time was getting married, and I needed a photographer. He's also a photographer. And I said, I asked a DJ, which he knew, if he knew any photographers. And he said, well, I'll give you names of 3 people and their numbers. I called all 3, and he's the only one who responded. So I was like, okay, can we have a conversation? I want to see your portfolio. So he met me at my home. And when I introduced myself, I introduced Mrs. because he's my second husband. And he said, I thought you were married. When he sat down, we started talking. I said, well, I only say that because I don't want people just trying to date me or anything like that. And the conversation was going deep. I was like, why are we having this deep conversation? I just want to see your portfolio and what you do for photos. So later on, we just started seeing each other because I thought he was this amazing human being. I was like, wow, where have you been? So one day, we all met. I met his children. My children came along. We sat and had lunch. And they started singing because they all sing. They all play instruments. And I was like, this is just beautiful. I'm just feeling all this. He wooed me with flowers and told me I was beautiful every day, opened my door, just made sure I had my coat on. I mean, it was just a romantic relationship.
So you know my stomach is turning right now,
yes,
right?
I know.
It's literally turning because that is narcissism.
Yeah.
And I think that is the level of abuse that people don't know anything about.
No, it's hidden.
It is. And so I just want to ask a question. So how soon from the time that you met him, from the time that you guys dated, what was that time frame? How long did it take? Because it sounds like he already walked in ready.
He was ready. His mindset was already like that. So I would say about 3 or 4 months,
God,
maybe
it's
3 or 4 months.
Like that short time frame.
Short time,
which most people would take that time to get to know someone.
Yeah, and we went in full. Like full. We were like going out to dinner. He was staying over. I was staying at his place.
Already
because it felt right. It felt we meshed well. We were like connected, and no, it changed after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it that really wooed you? Did you already have some trauma prior to him?
Well, my first husband cheated, so that's trauma because you're trusting that person with your heart, your whole body, and your mind.
Yeah. And you lose your self-worth.
Yeah, you do.
You start to question a lot.
Well, why wasn't I good enough?
Yeah.
Why did you have to go out and fight? What did they have to offer that I'm not offering?
Correct.
So those questions. So yeah, I was already traumatized by that.
Yeah.
And then seeing this person come in and treat me a whole 180 than what I was used to, was like, okay, this is beautiful.
You the bomb.com now.
Child. Yes.
You say, girl, you fine.
Yeah.
I want to take you out.
Yeah.
I want to get you these flowers. How was the text messages?
Oh, they were sweet. They were so passionate. They really were. And yeah, I was taken. It was scary to know that now, thinking of the later on life with him, that I didn't have my eyes were wide shut.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just saw the prettiness and the beauty of it, that I didn't look behind the curtain.
Yep.
Because the curtain was closed, according to him, you know. Yeah.
Well, he didn't give you much time to look behind the curtain.
No.
It was
because he like, here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the curtain.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no drawback, no nothing.
No.
Okay, so tell me about, how long were you guys together?
I counted, it was like 20, we were married 21 years.
Goodness.
21 years.
So when did you realize that you were in an abusive relationship?
My kids saw it. My kids saw it before I did, and I didn't want to believe them. I was like, you're making things up because you don't want me to be with anyone. You don't want me happy. And when they stopped coming around, they didn't stop on their own. He stopped it, and I didn't see it. I didn't know. And thinking of it now, it's like I should have listened. I wish I did, but I didn't. And when I start seeing red flags, I see red flags. I say, oh no, let's maybe yellow, a little bit of green in there. It's okay. I'll get over it. But when he started getting upset because you didn't agree with him, his word is law. He controlled the money. He controlled where I went. He actually, and before then, he was buying me clothes. I was like, oh, he want to buy me clothes. No, he's controlling what I wear.
Yeah.
So it was all control, and I didn't see it. So I had to apologize to my children.
So when you say that your kids seen it first, and then he stopped them from coming around, were they vocal about what they had seen, and he heard it?
Yes.
And so the moment he heard it, he needed to get into your head by getting them out. And so there's a whole little manipulation game that goes into play. More control starts to get involved.
Yeah.
Because now they need to make sure that, when I say they, that's the abusers. They need to make sure that the person that they're controlling doesn't see what other people see.
Exactly.
So even in the midst of that, sometimes more gifts might come. Because I don't want you to be mad at me. So I need you to stay with me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know what she sees. She's always like that. You know, especially your kids. Your kids are like that. They're going to say whatever they're going to say. You know, that's what they say, the abusers say. So what were some things that your kids had noticed?
I stopped smiling. I was always a smiler, always laughing at the most silliest jokes, even my own corny jokes. I stopped dancing, and I would only do it when he was around. I only be happy when he was around. I was only smiling and joking around when he was visible. They saw I was getting sickly. I got so to the point where my whole body would ache. My skin color turned gray. My eyes were sunken in. I had black underneath my eyelids. And I looked in a mirror one day. I said, this is not who I am. I look sickly, and I didn't recognize who I was looking at. She was somebody I didn't know, and she was somebody I didn't want to be around. So that was, they saw that.
My stomach hurts again. Yeah. I was sick.
Yeah.
Very, very sickly. And so my abuser used to say the same thing. It's like, dang, you look sick. You look like you got jaundice,
Mm.
all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be here to take care of you.
Mm.
Because I'm damn dying. You want to be here to take care of me.
Yeah.
So I am definitely feeling that. And in the midst, because you're not quite hitting those answers, what is the abuse? Why did you stop smiling?
Why did I stop? That's a good question.
You felt something.
I did.
You seen something.
I felt the loss of me. Every day was just like a piece of me just being drawn out, just tossed in the garbage. And I felt my essence of beauty was no longer there. I felt that he was actually manipulating me, and I knew it. I found out I knew it, but I didn't leave. I got so dependent on him, on his finances, on how he treated me. See, he's not always mean. He's not always mad. He's not always bad. But it's the pursuit of, and when he gets you, it's like, oh, I'm sinking right into it. But once I started to see that I was losing myself, and then my children and grandchildren seeing me, allowing this to happen. Before, when my kids were younger, I used to say, never let a man hit you, never let a man take advantage of you, never let a man control you. You get your own money, your own bank account, your own house, with your own car, with your name on it. He act up, goodbye, get out. Yeah. That's how I wanted them. I want them to live their life. I want their life to be better than mine. But I was showing them that I was lying. I was lying to them, saying, don't let anyone do this, but I'll allow it for myself.
Yeah.
That's not godly.
Yeah. You weren't practicing what you preach.
No, not at all.
Was he ever physical?
At times he were.
Tell me about a time he was physical.
Ooh, girl, you went deep. So just to let everyone know, when anxiety starts coming in, it starts in your stomach. Mm-hmm. And then you have to take the time to breathe and say you're safe. Mm-hmm. Because I know I'm safe. I'm okay. But thinking about the time that he did what he did, I could see it all in action, like I'm watching a TV show and I see it all in action. His family came from Georgia to spend some time with him, and he loved his mom. He called her his second mom, and they're all at a restaurant. And so he's a photographer, and what he likes to do is to prepare pictures and put his labels on it. And we went to this local place called Walgreens, and he wanted to print pictures, but it would take him 45 minutes to do. And he didn't want to wait. So he said, forget it, let's go to another one. So we went to another one. He says, no, it'll be about an hour because we're behind. So he was getting so frustrated, he couldn't get these pictures printed. And we're driving the car. He's in the back seat and I'm driving. And I remember there was a white car. I remember the cars around us. There was a median here. I was here in the left lane to turn left. There was a car next to me, it was a white car. Right behind that car was a cop car. And I wanted to yell and scream so bad because I knew something was about to happen. And he took his cane, the bottom part of his cane, because he walked with one in the rubber part, and just took it and just stabbed my back so much on my right side, so much that I couldn't even lift my arm the next day. He was so frustrated, and if he had time, he probably would have took the cane, turned it around, and hit me in the head. But I just pushed the car to move. And he stopped. For some reason, he just stopped. And I drove. We got to the restaurant, and he apologized to his family. And I was crying in the car, but I saw his family looking at me, so I straightened up. I didn't say anything to anyone. I just started smiling. Oh, I'm fine. How you doing? Ooh.
So that was the first cover-up.
That was the first cover-up.
Tell me about another time where he was abusive. Physically.
He used a fork. I was talking to my children. He always told me what to say when I'm on the phone with them. And we were sitting in the living room. And he says, tell your kids this, tell them that. I said, I don't want to tell them that. That's not how I talk. So we got so angry, he got up. And the time he had he was eating lunch. He was eating lunch, and he took a fork and started stabbing me on the right side. Somehow he just admired my right side of my body. And then he walked out. So I had little stab marks, little blood coming out. Then he walked out and went into the room and came out with a belt. Hit me a couple times with the belt.
Belittled you?
Belittled me like I was his child. His words, I told you to say what I said. Tell him what I said. You better start listening to me. And some of the things I never told my kids. They're just hearing it for the first time now.
So how old were you when you lost control, when you became the child as an adult?
I was in my 30s. I was, I think, 36, 37 at the time.
And you had how many kids?
4.
And now you were a child.
I was the child.
By someone that you loved and admired, that
Yeah.
was supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
Be there for you.
Exactly.
Guide you. Love you forever.
Yep.
So what does that feel like to hear those words? That this person was supposed to love you forever, and instead, you became his child.
Angry. Like how can I have let that happen? How can I be this advocate for allowing my kids to, my daughters especially, to shine bright and be the best they can be? And I'm like sitting cowering in a corner, scared to even speak, walk on eggshells, don't know how the day's gonna go, anxiety on tilt, depression on tilt. I got angry at myself, not even at him, but at myself, because I allowed it to happen, to continue. And that's the scary part, that your mind is so set on letting it work that you allow anything to happen. That's scary.
So Coach Kiki, what is domestic violence to you?
Domestic violence is the belittling of a human being, not allowing them to be themselves. And say, you're not good enough. I want to make you into the person I want you to be. It's the hurt and the pain and the detrimental feeling of your life is not worthy unless I'm in it type of feeling. It is hurtful, shameful, and embarrassing. And guilt. There's a lot of guilt involved as well. Guilt of staying, guilt of being in this relationship, guilt, and even the person feeling guilty and shameful of the person who's hurting them. It says, well, maybe if I didn't say this, they wouldn't hurt me. Or maybe if I didn't do this, they wouldn't hurt me. So domestic violence is just a brutal sense of power, so-called power from the abuser, and belittling to the abused.
So what was your last straw? What incident caused you to finally say, I am in a domestic violence situation. I'm out?
Again, taking a breath, because anxiety is just high. One part of it was when I looked into the mirror and saw the sickly person that I didn't recognize. The next part is when we were at a movie theater, and I had dance practice at church, and I told him, let me call them to say I'm not coming. And he flew off the handle. He got so angry because I wanted to call and be considerate to them, saying I'm not going to be there. We got to the car. He was sitting in the front seat. I was sitting in the back. And I said, I'm afraid to get in. He said, you better be, because I'm going to take care of you when I get home. When we got home, he had visitors. So I was so grateful that there were people there. And he just forgot about it. Or I should say, I think he forgot about it. So we went to bed and woke up. He had to go to the church for a few hours for practice. And at that time, I said, it's time for me to go. Because when he remembers, it hurts. It's painful. And it's embarrassing. So I grabbed plastic garbage bag, shoved whatever clothes I can in, grabbed my keys. I didn't even look back. I shut the door. It probably opened back up. I didn't care. Got in the car and I took off. And it was hours. And then he called me. He said, "Where are you?" And I just hung up the phone. And when he called, I just couldn't answer. I was petrified. I was sitting in such fear that he's going to find me. That was the time I had to leave because I knew something bad was happening.
Were you scared?
I was petrified.
Did you have a job?
No.
Any income?
No. His allowance to me sometimes was $20. I remember we went to the store and he gave me $20. He said, "Oh, go get your cereals," because I like special cereals. Got in line and it was so embarrassing. And we were standing there and they added up my stuff first. And it came to $21 and something cents. I can't remember the cents.
So you were short.
I was short, $1 and change. And he would not give it to me.
So you had to put something back.
He said, "Well, you need to put something back because I'm not going to give you. I gave you $20. That was your budget. Learn to budget." And this is in front of people, in front of cashier, strangers in the line. And I put everything back. I said, "No, thank you. I'm okay." Yeah. And he got, because we shopped separately. And he got his stuff, paid. We walked out. He didn't say, "Okay, let me get it for you." So no, I didn't have any income. Whew. It just got heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you finally left, now you were out there. You had to step into your power, figure out who you are as an individual, what that looked like. You know, you had been married for 21 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything about you was now manipulated emotionally, psychologically, all of that, financially. You know, he controlled all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like as a woman going out here into the world, having to do this by yourself? Were you lost? Who did you go stay with?
I was solo. My youngest daughter, one of my younger daughters.
Okay.
It was a 1-bedroom. So the house I left was a 3-story colonial with a finished attic, beautiful home. Mm-hmm. And I moved in with my daughter, 1-bedroom apartment, beautiful sofa, nice and comfortable. And I had more peace in that 1-bedroom apartment with my daughter, her husband, and my granddaughter than I had in that house that I had. And that house is beautiful. But I was at peace in that 1-bedroom apartment with them.
Now, did you fear he would find you there? Because it was your daughter. Does he know where
he didn't know where she lived.
Oh, okay.
But still that fear was like, he's going to ask around.
Yeah. Because you were still in the same area,
same state,
right?
Yeah. Same city.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about, say about 20 minutes away, 20, 25. Not long, not far.
And you guys both went to the same church?
I stopped going.
Okay.
I stopped going.
So you were already being isolated by him and manipulated by him. Mm-hmm. And then once you fled, you still had to isolate.
Yeah.
So therefore, he wouldn't find you. Because now you couldn't share the same acquaintances, the same friends, church leaders, all of that.
Right.
You had to change your life completely because of domestic violence.
Right.
So how did you build?
It took a long time. It took, so the last 5 years of our marriage, we were separated. When I left, it was 5 years in. And it took a long time. I sat on my daughter's sofa, depressed, didn't want to get dressed, didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to shower, didn't want to do anything. And my brother, who lives here in Arizona, just said, "Come visit, just come get clear your head." Yeah. And when I came out here, I was like, "Oh, this is nice. I like the weather. It's, calming, and looking at the mountains. When you drive looking at those mountains, it's beautiful." And my daughter, the one I was living with, says, "Mom, why don't you just move?" I said, "No, I can't move. I'll leave all my grandkids behind. I'll leave my kids behind." And when I went back home and where I would in the East Coast, I just got stagnant. There was nothing there for me.
No.
Even though I had my kids and grandkids, there was still nothing there for me because I felt beaten down, stripped away. So I just said, okay, let me just go try this for a little bit. Let me just get out of the state and try something new. And when I did, my daughter started crying. She said, "You're not coming back." I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "No, you got your life now. Go live it." And I came out here and I did not look back. I was so grateful that I did move. I was so grateful that I have a different environment. I have friends now that want to see me win. I have friends that encourage me and lift me up. And my kids support me. You know, they'll visit when they visit, but this is my home now. And I'm so grateful I did.
So how long have you been out of your domestic violence situation?
Since 2023, 2020.
Still kind of fresh. 3 years.
6 years.
6 years?
6 years.
Okay. So with that being said, has he tried to reach out to you?
He has tried. He has tried previously. And I answered. I did answer. And he went right back to his starting to talk about how I left him and why would you do that? I'm an Army veteran. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to give me my pills? Who's going to take me to my appointments? It's like,
The VA.
Yeah. Yes. The VA. Yes.
The VA.
Yeah.
You have resources.
Yeah.
Definitely. That manipulation won't work anymore, sweetie.
No. Unfortunately, he passed away. In February. And I was so sad when he did because I didn't say goodbye. I wanted to tell him I forgave him. I wanted to be released from that tether of the pain he had caused me for so many years. And every now and again, I think about the good. But I also do remember the bad because I'll remember that that's the feeling I don't want from a relationship. So the bad helped me will guide me to finding the good person for me. I'm not looking now. I'm just being me. I'm living my life. I'm okay. But when he does happen to show up, I know what to look for and what to not accept. My non-negotiables. You know.
So are you still sad that you didn't get an opportunity to tell him that you forgive him?
At times.
So
I'm still healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because forgiveness isn't something you have to tell the person. Forgiveness is for you.
Yeah.
So he doesn't ever need to know. You need to know that you forgave him.
Yeah.
That it's okay. I can get up every day now. I forgive you. I can find someone now because I forgive you.
Yeah.
I can look at myself in the mirror and say that I'm beautiful because I forgive you. I don't feel the pain anymore on my right side because I forgive you. And in forgiving you, I just took my power back.
That was deep.
See how that works?
Yeah.
So there's only two people that needs to know that you forgive him. One of those people is you. The other is a bigger power.
Yes.
All is done.
Yes.
That's all we need from here.
Girl.
So now that you're here in sunny, beautiful mountain, Arizona.
Yes.
How does it feel?
Freeing. Beautiful. Wonderful. I'm blessed. I am speaking, and I'm speaking about my trauma, talking about it without fear.
Yep.
And I am happy. I am really happy.
Love it. Love it. So with that being said, there's some other stuff. So what have you been working on since being here in Arizona? and you're looking to empower other survivors. And what does this empowerment look like? And what made you want to start this empowerment?
Oh my goodness. So I had a story to tell, and I allowed fear for a long time to say, okay, be quiet. People don't need to know, just stop. And I was like, no, how am I going to help anyone who's been through what I've been through or worse? How am I going to tell them that you can have a better life? You can live your life. You can be prosperous in health and prosperous in mind. So I told myself, and my family encouraged me to write my story. So I wrote a book. It's called This Is Me, Learning to Embrace Imperfections. And out of that book, I wrote a workbook. I used the tools through the communities that I found to create this workbook of mental health, wellness, and self-care guide. And it's called This Is Me, a Guide to Learning to Embrace Your Imperfections. Because our imperfections are not imperfect. They're beautiful. They're us. They're who we are. And I want women to know that. I want women to shine through and live in their power and live life loudly and beautifully. And I want to teach them. So that's why I became a coach. So it's Celebrate Life with Coach Kiki. Every day should be celebrated. You leave a relationship that is traumatizing. Celebrate that. Celebrate that you woke up the next day. Celebrate you took a shower that day. Celebrate every aspect of your life, because you are to be celebrated and not tolerated. So I am so grateful that I was able to do this, and with the support of my family and the communities that I found, I am thriving and I'm living my life and I am loving it.
Okay, so just out of curiosity,
Yes.
What area of the valley do you live in?
I'm in the West Valley.
What does that mean?
Buckeye.
Well, shout out to Buckeye.
You know what? I just learned to say West Valley because I didn't know. I'm in Buckeye. Oh, the West Valley. It's like, okay, yes.
Okay. So where can they find your workbook?
My workbook is on Amazon, and it so if they follow me on Instagram, so Instagram is Celebration Coach Kiki, and they can find the link there, or just go straight to Amazon and type in This Is Me, a Guide to Embracing Your Imperfections, and they can find it that way as well.
Okay, by Coach Kiki, right?
By Coach Kiki.
That's the author. Coach Kiki.
Well, Joaquina Abner. I just had to put that because Coach Kiki, I don't know, I could use.
Okay. Love it. So Amazon, they can follow you on Instagram. Perfect.
Yes.
Now, Are you following me on all social media platforms?
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, love it.
Yes.
So if you share it with me, I'll reshare it then.
I sure will.
So then we can really get it
not
out
on
there.
Instagram. I didn't find you on Instagram.
Oh,
so you
okay.
have to give me that.
Okay.
What is your Instagram?
So Shante Saulsberry on Instagram.
Okay.
Or Genesis Women's Center on Instagram.
Okay, I will find you there.
Yes, and of course on Facebook as well. LinkedIn as well. You can follow me.
Yes.
Definitely.
I found you on Facebook.
Okay, you got me there. So that is it for this show. We want to thank Coach Kiki for coming on, sharing your story. I'm inspired. I'm empowered. I'm loving that we were able to discuss what true healing means,
Yes.
and of course what forgiveness is.
Yes.
And that's very important. So for all of our listeners, we thank you for being a part of the show today. I want to just let you know that if you are experiencing domestic violence and you are in an emergency situation and need to get away, please dial 911. And please, individuals, if you are in need of any form of healing, please seek counseling. That is very important, as talk therapy is not a form of counseling. We are not licensed therapists. We are just here to empower and inspire those who have experienced domestic violence and give them the empowerment that they need to be able to go on strong, just like Coach Kiki and even myself, Shante Saulsberry, because yes, I was once a victim of domestic violence. Well, that's all we have for today. I am your host, Shante Saulsberry. This is Talk Therapy on Central City Radio.